ways. There are other ways to live life that are more optimal, that are better. That
Okay.
if
What
Mhm.
do you mean by optimal? Like, is it happiness?
Yeah, optimal is happiness. Yeah, general
Okay.
happiness. Like if I showed you two ways to live your life, you would choose the better one, and the optimal is the best one, the best one.
Okay. Um.
Hmm.
Okay. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Um. So why do you think that veganism is suboptimal? But yeah.
I mean, so if you take veganism to its logical conclusion, you would feed yourself to somebody else, right? Somebody else or some other animal is more important to you than you.
Okay. Uh.
Hmm.
What do you mean by veganism or vegan? Like, could you define this word?
Sure, I can try. Veganism, that's exactly what it says. Veganism says that animals are more important than us humans. We humans should prioritize animal animals before us.
Okay.
So, for
Um.
example, if an animal lives on, if some ant, some mosquito lives on a bush, you cannot tear down this bush to build a house because the mosquito living on the bush is more important than 1,000 or 1,000,000 people living in a skyscraper. A single mosquito is
Okay.
more important than all of humanity. That is veganism. A
And
single, even a single amoeba is more important than all of humanity. Actually, they would say humanity is better off. The universe is better off without humans. They even say that the universe is best without humans. The best version of the
okay.
universe is without humans.
And
So any
how
chance
did
you
you get this
have,
definition?
well, you give me your
Like
definition. I mean,
veganism.
that's my
No, I'm just asking. I'm not gonna give you like my I need your definition. I'm just kind of curious, like how you got this definition of
that's just
veganism.
my
I think
experience.
that that's honestly just from your experience with the people you met in vegan world because they're extremists.
No,
The
none of
reason they're
them.
selling the idea, pardon, the reason that they're selling the idea that you are less important than a bug on a bush is because they're trying to convince people to do extreme things like go, quote unquote, liberate animals by taking them off of trucks or, standing in the street where they potentially get harmed or they get arrested. They want them to throw meat on the ground at stores and have packages open, which actually is just wasting product and contributing more to the meat industry and also making vegans look like mentally ill. So I think that partially your environment had something to do with this because they're using that type of line of logic to strip people of their individuality so that they can make them do extreme things.
Yeah, some of the vegans that I've encountered are extremists. Some of them are not. But even the ones that are not, if you take their principles and you dial it all the way to 10, you get what I said. A single amoeba is more, it's just that the humans are terrible and the universe is better off with no humans.
That's
That's
just
Okay.
objectively the truth, and like any biologist can tell you that. Like any pharmacologist can tell you that. Like if you
but
care remotely about the environment, you'll just see that. Like human beings do nothing but contribute to pollution and destroy their environment.
okay, then I guess you are the same as them if that's what you believe. Is that what you believe? I don't know.
Well, I don't think that we should sacrifice ourselves because of it. I think that we're just part of a system.
So you have to decide which is it. I mean, these two opinions are contradictory.
I actually don't. Like this is the thing. It's like there's no reason for me to decide that. I can be aware that I'm like inherently not good for the earth that I live on and continue to live my life and not be suicidal. Those two things can completely happen at the same time. I don't have to do something to myself because of it.
Okay, then you are aware of the fact that you are self-contradictory.
Yeah, that's a way to exist. There's
That's-
no way to exist without contradictions.
Okay, I don't know. I mean, you'd have to prove that. That's a mathematical claim. But until then, you know, in a court of law, if you self-contradict, that's called lying. So, you know, basically you're nullifying your
I don't think that it's a lie to say that two things can happen at the same time. Like you can be bad for your environment and not want to leave it.
um I don't understand how you can
It's
have these.
inherently selfish, but it's also just reality. Like how can I live on Earth without being like a suicidal mess?
Wait, okay,
Unless I just accept the fact that my existence is inherently destructive.
okay,
I
wait.
also didn't ask to be here, so I didn't consent to be part of like a class that's destroying the earth. Like I never consented to that. I can choose to reduce my impact, which I do in some areas, but in the areas I don't feel guilty about it.
Okay, I mean, you're giving me conflicting, a self-conflicting testimonial. So I don't
None
know.
of that is self-conflicting because you have to realize the fact that I put my existence before priorities of people and things I don't know, which is also like that was what you were saying the problem was with vegans is that they're putting things and creatures that have nothing to do with them before themselves. I'm saying you don't have to do that. I'm saying that that's brainwashing and that's like a tactic used by like certain sub pockets on the internet, especially people in vegan world, because it's just first of all that Discord's traded hands like 3 times just alone since I've known of it. It's traded hands even more than that in its entire existence because people pay to take ownership of it because it has the most concentrated amount of vegans. So couple that with like mental illness on the internet, and then they have the most uh, people they can choose from when they're trying to find like extremists to do this like random crap for their TikTok accounts. And most of it, even like I said, inherently ends up benefiting the meat industry. So, those people are living in a contradiction that perhaps they're not even aware of. I don't think existing without contradictions is possible. I mean, sorry, I don't think it's possible to exist without making contradictions. And I don't think that's a lie. I think that's those two things being true at the same time. I'm also
Okay.
not in denial of it. If I was in
Let me
denial about it, you could say that I was lying.
let me try and help you figure out if you want. Do you want me to help you untie these contradictions? Because I live with zero
Oh
self.
yeah, dude, I wouldn't bring it up around you if I didn't talk to you about it.
Okay. So just for the record, I don't believe I live with contradictions.
It's also like I don't know, considering you just kind of tell people that you're like a slave. I think that it's easier for you to live without contradictions. But like,
I'm not a slave. I'm actually I'm a master, but when it comes to, I'm a sex slave to women, to beautiful women, not to anyone
but
other
you're
than
open
that.
about it, is what I'm saying, and I
I'm
feel
not,
like that makes it easier.
I'm open as long as I'm anonymous. I mean, no one in real life, except for very few
Oh,
people, knows this. This is why I'm anonymous.
That changes my opinion slightly. I didn't think you were anonymous.
Yeah, I'm extremely anonymous. I mean, some people know me in
We should
real
talk
life.
more about that one later. I don't want to derail, but yeah.
Yeah. So I don't, regardless of slavery, I don't believe, even including slavery, I don't believe I have any contradictions in my life. The only, I mean, when I do have apparent contradictions, is like everybody else. It's with quantum mechanics, and those contradictions I hate. So, but that's why I claim I don't understand quantum mechanics. So, as long as I don't understand apparent contradictions, you know, I haven't resolved certain contradictions. I have not resolved, but no one else in the universe, in the known universe, has either. So let's leave quantum mechanics alone for now. But with morality and with veganism and animals, loving animals and loving eating the flesh of dead animals, I don't. There's no contradiction in my mind when I do that. When
I'm gonna go. Goodbye.
you,
Well, there's no
thank you.
contradiction in my mind either when I'm like
Hmm.
stepping on the beach. You know what I mean? I'm inherently maybe destroying some sort of environment, but I'm not like thinking I shouldn't be there in my mind. You know, like
Yeah.
like snapping a twig and have this butterfly effect for the entire forest, and I don't think I shouldn't be allowed to go hiking because of it.
Okay. So do you feel? So do you feel there is a contradiction in your life, or do you feel there is no contradiction in your life? Which is it? How do you
Yeah, I
feel?
genuinely don't. I don't feel like that's a contradiction. I feel like that's perceived as a contradiction by people who don't understand.
So when you break when you when you when you break a twig when you go hiking, you don't feel bad? You or do you feel bad?
No,
Not
I'm
even
not.
though.
I'm not like breaking branches off of trees. That's like obviously crossing some sort of line. That's
Mhm.
also not legal. But I'm saying that like just like your existence on Earth is inherently going to be detrimental to Earth. Like the methane gas that we give off of just when we fart is bad for the ozone. So we can't say, like, I also don't think I should contribute by like having children per se. So maybe that's the least contradictory thing about it because like that's where I can take power back and that's where I can actually do something about it. And I can say, no, I'm not going to do this. But my own existence, I don't think that I should just like not. I should just not exist because I'm bad for the environment. I just think that that's like brainwashing and what they teach people to make them suicidal and to not care if they get arrested or killed or you know to take away aspects of their individuality and make them less of a person.
So you are planning to not have children?
Yeah, I don't want to have children.
Wait, you don't want to, or do you want to have children, or do you and you are avoiding it because of the environment?
Yeah, the world's already got too many people in it. I don't really see why you should
The
decide that.
question is, do you love children? Would you like to have your own children? And are you giving up a luxury for someone else because the environment? Is that is that your reasoning?
Well, what type of existence are they supposed to have when everything is depleted because there are too many people? Like it's like why would I want to pack more people in an elevator when there's a weight capacity and the elevator is starting to like break and it's uncomfortable for everyone? Like that just sounds like not just like selfishness, but actually like really important to do to other people. And that they have to be raised in such an environment with such an existence. It's not good for them, like, or physically.
Maybe the reason why the elevator is full is because we're waiting for the engineer to build a bigger elevator.
Well, we don't have a ride to Mars yet.
So
So
go ahead.
I was going to say, like, in terms of resources, right? I don't think it's not an issue of not having enough for everybody and more people. I think it's a problem of distribution, right? There's still a ton of people that are unemployed. There's still places in the earth, for example, that are uninhabited. We can extract resources from. There's things, objects in the skies that if we really wanted to, we could launch like drones and like mine them remotely, right? We could do all those things, but we don't do those things because we don't.
Yeah, I mean, I agree that humanity could have gone to the stars as soon as we had nuclear propulsion, meaning as soon as we blew up the first atomic bomb, scientists realized we can have interstellar travel in a single human lifetime. But we're not doing that there's no reason not to do it, but we're not doing it. So we're basically.
And to further talk about.
Wait a second. I'm sorry. How do we get interstellar travel in a single lifetime? We don't have that technology.
Yes, we do. It's called.
No, not even close.
Yes, we do. We've had it since we blew up the first atomic bomb. So scientists began what's known as the Orion program, and actually Freeman Dyson was one of the chief mathematicians in the program, and he's the one that actually consulted, I think, Kennedy to strike it down, because he said it would cause literally one person per year to die because of radiation, and that's, he said, quote, too much, unquote. That's Freeman Dyson, who was actually a global warming denier. So, but he destroyed that program, or Eisenhower, I think. Is this this is, I think, Kennedy, because and the alternative was NASA and chemical propulsion. But originally they were going to go for atomic propulsion, because using atomic propulsion you can reach 10% the speed of light with 1940s technology. So actually, if aliens ever visit us, they might be with 1940s technology, because that's all you need for interstellar travel, at 10% the speed of light. And there's YouTube videos about it. You can watch it with Freeman Dyson.
But 10% the speed of light would only get you to literally one star, and that's Alpha Centauri, 4 light years away, and that would still be 40 some years, and it's pretty much known to be a relatively empty system. So.
Right. The issue,
that's what I'm saying is, like, yeah, you can get to one other star. So technically, I guess interstellar within one lifetime is not impossible if you assume we can accelerate to 10% the speed of light. But I think that's a shaky assumption as well.
So even with the technology and the resources we have, I believe we can like do interstellar travel, right, in terms of like population growth. Because like in their current status quo, we literally build these products that do nothing but destroy other products. So I think if we are able to recapture that productivity into anything else, I think we would be able to provide for more people. And like literally, even for example, look at Amazon, right? They have warehouses that literally destroy products instead of like giving them away, whatever. They're destroying them. So my argument would be that like we are producing more than we actually use, and it shows that like there is no real scarcity. The issue though is distribution. There is a way in which we would think is fair for distribution, right? Like if you're going to get a product, you probably should pay for it, kind of thing. But like, what if we live in a world wherein before we produce so much of everything that like we can't like earn enough money to use all the things we produce. I think that we probably should rethink on how we distribute resources and use them. And I think that way we could probably support. I think the somebody like came up with a number, right? I forget. Like, you have to look this up. But like the maximum people that could live on the Earth, the Earth could support is something like, I think 10, 12 billion people. And we're
No,
nowhere near that number yet.
no, it's in the trillions. The Earth can support trillions of people.
I haven't seen evidence for that, but like, you know, I'm just saying the one I've seen. If you've
If
seen some
you-
trillions, then maybe.
Yeah, even I think that actually it's quadrillions. It's 1,000 times a trillion. Quadrillion.
There literally wouldn't be any
1,000?
place to stand with a quadrillion people.
You don't need to stand. You can live, in skyscrapers. You don't have to. It's nothing to do with the Earth. It has to do with, how high can you build, and actually, there's no limit to how high you can build, because there's something called active support. You can use basically particle accelerator technology to have the support. I mean, most high risers and bridges that we have are actually active buildings. They're not static. So anyway, I mean, there's channels dedicated to these mega technologies. One of them is Isaac Arthur. He has actually it's called Megastructures, the Megastructures series. Let me give you a link. So these are
I
all.
follow Isaac Arthur already.
Yeah. You want to put the link, or I'll put the link? No, it's a good channel. I stopped
I could grab it
watching
real
him.
quick.
I stopped watching him because he's 1 second. Maybe one day I'll make a video why I stopped watching him. Megastructures. The Megastructure Compendium. Let me give you the link to the Megastructure Compendium. Here is the link. Oh, you put it there? Oh, that's his channel, and this is the Megastructure Compendium. So yeah. So about 10%.
It's science fiction, though.
No, it's mostly. I mean, he has Science Fiction
I
Sunday.
like it.
Science Fiction Sunday is boring. Mostly, I stopped watching. I don't care. But no, most of his most of what he says is science and technology. And whatever he does is using today's science and today's engineering, and all his mega structures are based on today's technology, or most of them. Most of those that I've seen. I don't think he ever brought up anything that is beyond today's technology. The only time he talks about science that I don't like is faster than light, which is ridiculous because, of course, there's no on the other side of the universe, the galaxies are moving, of course, faster than light away from us. So there is no speed of light limit. That's a misunderstanding. So anyway, let's get back to our discussion. First, let's discuss the 10% the speed of light. I mean, there is, I saw a 5% the speed of light diagram sketched on a diagram, and I saw 10% the speed of light sketched on another diagram of the Orion program. So at 10% the speed of light, let's do a quick math. So Alpha Centauri triplets are 4 light years away. I don't know what acceleration, but let's assume an average speed of 10% the speed of light. So it's one way is 4 times 10, I think. So it's 40 years each way. The question is, do you ever?
Well,
do you?
that's
Go ahead.
there's the problem of deceleration that you have to factor into. So
The question is, I was gonna say, do you want to come back? I mean, what's the point of coming back? Why not just continue? Just build a multi-generational ship and just go and seed on the on.
right. Okay.
Mhm.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but the multi-generational ship idea is another one that's like one of those sci-fi ideas because
Why?
like right now our limits of engineering are not to the level we could successfully build that. Just like here, you don't have anything multi-generational that has mechanical or computerized components because that ship breaks down, and the expertise to repair it in advance and all that just doesn't exist. So once you get a manned mission, like you could make these kind of claims if we had run a manned mission in space that operated for a decade even, but we don't even do that the way that a generational ship would be done. So you see what I'm saying? Like keeping the pumps and the electronics and the everything else, your condensers and your water and all this other junk that you have to have um, for multiple generations contained in one spaceship it's a challenge that is beyond anything we've done by far. So to just assume it would work is, I think, something that doesn't really add up.
No, no, I think you're wrong. I don't think I don't think it's a challenge. It's a mega project, but I don't see the challenge. I mean, such a ship would be very big. You would build a very big ship. It would be it could even be an O'Neill. You could combine an O'Neill cylinder with an Orion engine. So in the beginning, anyway, we would work it out.
But the construction time on an O'Neill cylinder, come on.
The construction time.
I'm also thinking like, what is the minimum number of people you would need to have a stable population, and then you're gonna need to have a structure that would like accommodate for them all.
It's thousands, and that's why a generation ship just isn't gonna really do it.
I don't think there is a problem.
It's cool sci-fi. It's really cool sci-fi. I love sci-fi that's based on that sort of stuff. I eat it up all the time. It's one of my favorite things to do. It's just not realistic. It's just fantasy. So
Yeah,
So I was thinking, right? So our current U.S. aircraft carriers, they do carry something like a few thousand people, and if we could just build that out in space, like a space station, right, meant to accommodate like thousands of people, so it's probably going to be way larger than an U.S. aircraft carrier. But like we could do that, right? We could like augment. We would have facilities in there to be able to pull in like meteors and whatever, so that way we would have raw materials which we could turn into, so we can fix all the stuff we would need. The only issue would be something like the biomaterials, like earth, like soil, plants, that sort of thing, because we're gonna have to eat something for like literally generations.
yeah.
And I know
mean,
like currently in the current world we live in, like biodomes are still very difficult to get right.
another way that I was thinking of is first building Moon Alpha, a moon station, and building something called a mass accelerator. Like it's basically it's a small mega maglev train that just accelerates you until you reach orbital velocity and then beyond. And that's so that's a mass accelerator. You would build it on the moon, and you can build the ship on the moon. You can build a starship on the moon. The spaceship, you would build it on the moon, where it's very, I think it's easier to build on the moon because you have all the materials and there's zero gravity. So you can soon we'll have robots and they'll be able to live and work on the moon. They'll be able to build a spaceship, and then we would accelerate, at least in parts, the spaceship into moon orbit and beyond. So we can fire this thing in very high velocity so that it reaches escape velocity from the solar system. And anyway, we can even have stations on the way to further accelerate the ship, and then construct the parts en route and send the people everything en route. And you don't need to send so many because humans can multiply, obviously. So you send a few, and maybe you send extra sperm samples so that you have
I got you covered. I'll provide that.
Sure. Yeah, so you have extra variation, and anyway, it's doable. We can. I mean, the question is, right? Anyone who is involved in such a mega structure and mega project has to ask himself the question: what do I get out of it? I mean, if I build a spaceship for, okay, if I'm traveling on it, that's fine. But if I'm not going to be traveling, I guess. I mean, people would pay for the one-way ticket to just leave the solar system, but then why would you want to leave the solar system and travel to other stars and basically risk your life, it's a good question. But certainly, I mean, the first thing we should do is build just a research vessel, or some prototype that works using atomic power. The fact that we're not doing that, that's very sad. The fact that we don't have atomic energy on the planet is very sad. The fact that even now chemical energy is being taken away from us is very sad. So humanity is going down, unfortunately. Instead of going up to the stars, not only are we marooned on this rock, we're self-marooned on this rock, but it's becoming more and more hopeless. So I think in the future it's going to be basically impossible to leave the planet, and just like it's impossible to leave North Korea, anyone who is caught trying to escape from this planet will be terminated. And if you do escape this planet, they'll send nanobots after you to destroy you. They'll fire nanobots in your direction. There's no way you can outpace or outmaneuver nanobots, micro missiles, micro meteorites, and then one of them hits your ship. That's it. It's going to slowly consume your ship. So, and that's why there's no aliens, because any alien that tries to escape their home planet is destroyed. No alien government lets anyone escape, just like North Korea. And that's where we're
I think
headed.
that you're kind of getting into like Fermi paradox stuff, right? Like why we
Yeah.
don't see aliens.
Yeah.
Well, I think that it's because the power expenditure of communicating interstellar distances is absolutely prohibitive. So we're just too far away.
That's
And
not
I don't
Fermi's
know.
paradox. That's the great silence.
That's part of
It's
it.
a
I mean,
Okay.
well, no, I'm explaining why Fermi's paradox is why we don't
That's
see
not.
signs of
That's not Fermi's.
those aliens. Is
That's not Fermi's paradox.
okay.
That's the great silence paradox. A different paradox. Fermi's paradox is, where are they? Where's everyone? They should have been here instead of us.
Right, and I'm explaining why we don't see them,
No.
why we don't detect them.
That's irrelevant. That's a different paradox. That's the
Okay.
great silence.
The
So,
Fermi paradox. Where are all the aliens? You can't see them because they can't.
No,
They aren't spending that
no,
much energy
no,
to outshine their star. That's
no,
the
no,
key issue.
no. Fermi was reacting to a caricature that was in the newspaper that morning. The caricature was of aliens landing in front of the White House. So Fermi asked, where are they? Where is everyone? Why aren't they here? Not why are they not signaling us? Why aren't they here? Why are we not surrounded by aliens? They should have been here before us. They should be everywhere. Not why can't we see signals? It's too expensive, it's too prohibitive. That's a different paradox. But the bigger paradox, why are they not visiting? Where is everyone?
If they can't even get a signal here, they can't get here physically either because of the rules of the limitations of the physics of the universe and the size of the universe.
That's fine.
That's the whole problem.
Okay, so you're saying that the solution to Fermi's paradox, why are all the aliens not here, is because they can't even get a signal going. Okay, I mean, so you're saying they all don't have 1940s technology. They never figured out, not even
That's
atomic.
your misunderstanding, is that you think that 1940s radio broadcasts can be detected more than a couple of light years away from the sun, but
No,
they can't.
atomic.
They can't.
Atomic energy, atomic bombs.
Okay. How do you make something that can be detected with an atomic bomb that is more visible than our star?
You build a spaceship based on the Orion program. Here, let me get a link to the Orion program.
Okay, and then 190 years later, it reaches the star.
Whatever, the universe is 14 billion years old. They've had enough time. That's Fermi's paradox. They've had enough time to get here.
But they haven't.
That's the paradox. The Orion project. project or program? I think it's program. Project is different. The New Dawn, the Orion projects. Yeah, Isaac Arthur has a chapter on that too. Okay, let's link it. Here is the Orion. Oh, he calls it the Orion Project, and he revitalized it. When did he do it? 2 years ago. I must have watched it. Anyway, so I mean, this is 1940s technology, so obviously they should have been here a few billion times by now, or a few trillion times by now, because life should be so abundant. And each civilization should have built trillions of these ships over billions of years. This is ancient technology for us. So hence the paradox. But you see the resolution.
But it's not even ancient technology for us. We can't do it.
Why not?
Like in all the thousands of years we've been here and the billions of years that the Earth has existed, we can't make a spaceship right now that can go to another star system.
Why not?
We can't.
Why not?
They could take living people to another star system. We can't.
Why not?
It's too far away, too much energy expenditure, too dangerous, too deadly. There's like a whole bunch of reasons that we can't do it. And accelerating an object to 10% of the speed of light, first of all, that's an assumption that you can even do that we could even make a physical object that required electrochemical bonds.
You don't even need
to speed that fast.
You
You don't know that.
You don't even need atomic propulsion. People have done the calculation. Because the stars keep moving, all you need to do is just move a little bit, and in a few thousands of years, some stars are going to move into position. So humanity can spread just by way below light speed. I mean, of course, way below light speed.
Can
But
you name one piece of technology that can last 1,000 years? Can you give one example of that?
Yeah, composite tools.
Okay, like a hammer.
Oh, that didn't last thousands of years but yeah, that would be an example of a composite tool.
Okay, but was that going to get you to another star system?
I don't know what we're even talking about. You just asked the question and answered
Right,
it.
but we were talking about interstellar travel, and he just said just go into space, and in 1,000 years another star will be here, or thousands of years and another star will be here. And my rebuttal is, name some tools that last 1,000 years, and it's going to be a while before you get to 1,000-year reliable air pumps and oxygen pumps and that sort of shit. So
yeah,
electronics of any sort.
No, you don't need that. You can, if you want. I mean, you could have. Of course, you can. You can have whatever you want over multi generations. You can do anything you want. But if you want, you can reach. You can have colonies and spread slowly through colonies, and then
But my point is, you can't just have colonies. You can't just have that. You have to actually develop the technology to build that and put that somewhere else. And that's you run into some prohibitive baseline physics issues, like accelerating the solid object to those speeds, requiring a vast amount of energy. And then is it worth it?
Okay, well, let me finish the sentence. So you can build, if you want, a settlement on the moon, and then a settlement on the moons of Mars, and then settlements on other moons and other wherever you want, and O'Neill cylinders, and humanity can slowly spread. And just at that speed, at that zero speed of just creating more and more colonies, at one point you're far enough that just stay there, and some other star is going to move in, and as you spread, the stars are gonna mix you in so that you can spread all over the galaxy in, in a few million years. And then, and using similar ideas, you can spread across from, intergalactic space. Slowly, I'm not saying it has to be fast, but the fact that no one is here, that's a paradox. To tell me that you solved it because it's prohibitive, that's an assertion that I'm not, to me, it makes no sense. I don't know how people keep saying we have not solved the Fermi's paradox, and to you it's just prohibitive. It's all you need is one probe to make it.
It's an energy problem primarily, but
Yeah, that's
and there are some other issues in the way too. But the problem is that when you're trying to solve this issue, you're coming up with science fantasy, science fiction, to use as a solution, as if that's something that's actually available to us, and it relies on heavy assumptions along the way, and some of those assumptions are very clearly the reason that there is a Fermi paradox thing, if there is other life out there to begin with, because there's of course the baseline possibility that there is no other life out there as one explanation for it. But the next one is that it's physically prohibitive to do so. And then the third one would be that it's not necessarily physically prohibitive, but it's meaningless to do, because the time scales involved and the distances that we are apart. It doesn't make any sense to spend 20,000 years and all these lifetimes and all this energy and planning and all this other stuff to go to 2 star systems over where there's nothing and you can already see it clearly anyway. So it just doesn't really, I don't know.
Okay, let's do it one step at a time. There's no point in bringing up a list of claims if we're not going to deal with each one methodically. So don't do that again, please, if you don't mind. You're wasting time. So bring up your strongest claim and let's discuss it. Let's see. Try to convince me. What's your strongest claim, strongest solution to Fermi's paradox? Let's hear it.
Okay, there is no physical matter that has been observed in the universe that is a solid object ever to be witnessed moving at faster than 30% the speed of light.
Okay.
That's a fact.
Wait, one second.
So as far as we know,
Wait,
physical objects cannot go that fast.
Oh, wait, okay, 1 second. So first of all, this is a new objection. I didn't hear it before. I thought you were going to.
Oh, you wanted me to go over those? I
mean,
wasn't finished with my list. There are like 20 reasons why the Fermi paradox is clear and understandable, and I was going through them. But now you don't want me to give you more reasons, so I figured why go back to one of those? Let's just do a whole new one. Do you want to go back to one of those specifically? Do you have any questions about one of the things that I mentioned?
I said, give me your best reason, your best solution. Let's start with one. Fine. So pick the strongest one. Let's discuss it. You gave me a list, so go back to whatever. Give me your strongest objection to why you think no civilization in the history of the universe has managed to build anything that we can see from here nor visit us.
Because outshining your star requires a large amount of energy that no one wants to spend to do that. It's nonsense to do.
Okay. Okay. Again, that's a new reason that I did not hear in the original list. So I'm wondering.
Well, one of the first thing that I said was that you can't even communicate with another star, because that was the very first thing that I said when I started talking about this. Remember how I mentioned that like signals from like radios in like the 1940s, you can't see those a few light years away. They dissipate into the cosmic background, and you can no longer detect them.
Okay. So let's deal with it methodically. So do you agree that using James Webb technology or whatever, or Vera Rubin, one of the soon we're going to build incredible telescopes. There's plans to build a telescope that the focus is going to be outside of the solar system. They're talking about it today. I mean, you're talking about I don't remember the focus, but anyway, just incredible telescopes that are, that already are in the plans. But you agree that sooner or later we will be able to see atmospheres of planets across the universe.
Yeah.
Do you agree
Yeah,
or
we can do that
disagree?
now.
We can see
Yeah, seeing
atmospheres
it's no
of
problem. Yeah.
planets.
Mhm.
Okay, so
Do you not
our
know
pla-
about the James Webb Space Telescope seeing the atmosphere on that planet recently? That
no, I don't follow.
Oh yeah, it just
I don't follow
oh okay.
James Webb.
Yeah, well, just recently, James Webb Space Telescope has actually detected the signs of the atmosphere on an icy planet about 2 times the size of Earth. I forget how far away it is, but it's pretty far away. But it's we're looking into what kind of atmosphere that it has. But finding a planet to look at that we can do that takes a very, very long time. And you only get really to see some of the planet. It has to be specifically crossing in front of its star in a certain way that you can actually read not the biosignatures, but the signatures of the atmosphere of the planet. So the number of planets that we can look at this way is going to be very limited by comparison to the number of planets that there are. So
Mm-hmm.
but
Okay.
yeah, that's could we see a techno signature if we analyze the atmosphere of a planet with like really, really good technology? Yeah, maybe we could see that. Could we talk to them? Absolutely not.
Wait. So we can. So let's say that a day will come. We will see an oxygen, nitrogen,
Do you know
whatever.
why?
Why what? Do I know why what?
You're like breaking up. I can't hear anything you're saying if you're speaking.
I'm breaking up. 1, 2, 3. Can you
Oh, you're
hear
back.
me?
Yeah, you're
Okay.
good. You're good now. Yeah.
Okay. Uh, so the question is, you asked me, do I know why? I was gonna start cross-examining, but you're welcome to tell me.
No, go ahead. If you have a question, go for it.
Okay, so we're going to we're gonna see. Let's say we're gonna find a planet with oxygen, nitrogen atmosphere. So I would say the simplest explanation is there seems to be at least photosynthetic life on that planet, right?
It's plausible. Yeah.
It's a simplest. Do you have a simpler explanation?
Like if we found that,
Mhm.
I mean, there could be non-life producers of oxygen and carbon dioxide
No, okay. How do you get
or
an
nitrogen.
atom? What? How do you get an atmosphere like Earth? Let's say we find something similar to Earth, an atmosphere similar to our current Earth. How would you explain
Yeah,
that other
there's
than
a very high probability that there's life there if it's a similar atmosphere, but it depends on your measurements and readings and what exactly you're saying is if it's exactly like Earth, well then yeah, we've got like all kinds of stuff that would be directly indicative of life in our atmosphere. So yeah, I agree.
okay?
But I'm just trying to say you got to be careful with that because there are non-life producers of many of the things that like, methane was long thought to be one of the best ways to determine if there's life on a planet, but there are, geological processes that produce methane. So you can't use just that. So I'm just,
Sure, sure. But the question is, if you find oxygen, right? That's a biomarker. I don't know if there's a better biomarker.
no.
There
There's
is.
oxygen is not a biomarker. No, it's not. Oxygen occurs all over the place naturally without any life.
There. Wait.
Water contains oxygen.
How? What? Water can wait. If you find on Earth, like I don't know, like I don't know how much oxygen makes up the atmosphere, like 10%, 20%, or whatever. I mean, something like that.
Water is two two hydrogens and an oxygen, right? That's what
But
water is. And you've got
yeah, but
ice all
that's not
throughout the solar system.
sure. Yeah, but that's not oxygen. Where do you find
But,
pure oxygen? Just oxygen.
like if any kind of electricity touches that water, there's a chance that it'll electrolyze it, and
But
the hydrogen and oxygen will separate, and then you have oxygen free floating. And so if there's lightning, you can have free oxygen. If there's not, the oxygen is just not it. It's all over the place.
Where do you find oxygen? Free oxygen, similar, like on Earth, we have 21% oxygen, 78% nitrogen. Where do you find something like that without life? I don't know, with nitrogen.
Jupiter, Saturn, some of the moons of Jupiter and Saturn have
There's
oxygen.
oxygen on Jupiter?
Mhm.
1 second.
I mean, we're the ones with the most substantial amount, but there's oxygen on Jupiter, Saturn, and some of the moons of Jupiter and Saturn for sure.
Okay, so first of all, here is the makeup of the atmosphere. So, what is the makeup of the atmosphere on Jupiter? You're saying
Europa.
Jupiter?
Let's look at Europa. It generates 1,000 tons of oxygen every 24 hours.
Well, there's no oxygen on Jupiter. They say it's hydrogen and helium.
No, primarily there are trace amounts of oxygen on Jupiter.
I'm not talking about trace amounts. I'm talking about 20% oxygen, 78. We said, what did we say? 80%.
And I'm just telling you that's not a biomarker.
That's not. So I'm asking you, where do you find these percentiles? I'm looking for 80% nitrogen, 20% oxygen anywhere in the universe. Do you have that? Yes or no?
I believe there are other planets that will have this.
What do you
but
mean you
nowhere in our solar
believe?
system.
What do you mean you believe? Without life, you can have 20% oxygen without life?
I believe so. Yeah.
What do you mean you believe? Okay, how? Tell me the chemical process. How to do that?
But oxygen isn't created by life.
Fine. Then how? Tell me how you create oxygen without photosynthesis.
Do you mean carbon dioxide?
No. Photosynthesis creates oxygen. How else do you create oxygen?
There are lots and lots of ways to create oxygen, and you can, like I said, you can electrocute water, and if there's something that can take the ions that come out of that process,
Okay, but I need 20%.
then that's how you make hydrogen gas.
I know,
and oxygen gas.
I know, but that's trace amounts. I'm looking for 20% of the atmosphere to be oxygen. How do you build me a model that accomplishes that? I mean, how do you do that? I'm eager to hear this.
You have a very water-rich collection of meteors, and they coalesce into a ball of what we would call ice. And as it off-gases, the atmosphere that it would have would therefore be up to 33% oxygen.
What asteroids? Meteorites? What?
Yeah,
Is-
ice, like Kuiper Belt objects.
They have ice, oxygen ice?
Water ice
No, water. I'm not talking
has
about
oxygen
water.
in it.
I'm talking about oxygen like in Earth's atmosphere. Why are you what's going on? You're so smart and suddenly it's like you're
Yeah.
pretending
Well, what about the oxygen in the Earth's atmosphere?
Hmm.
What about
Well,
it?
Ira, what's up?
there it is. I'm
Oh,
breathing some of it right now.
what
No,
about the oxygen in the Earth's atmosphere?
so that we're discussing is oxygen in the atmosphere that we have 20%, is that a biomarker for looking for life in the universe? So how can you, like, if we find a planet atmosphere with 20% oxygen, can we deduce that that planet has photosynthesis? Or is there another process by which you can get 20% oxygen in the atmosphere without photosynthesis? So, what's your name, sir? I wasn't paying attention. Who's talking all the time? Corvo, are you talking?
Yes.
So Corvo claims that there are other processes besides photosynthesis to get 20% of the atmosphere to be oxygen. So I keep asking him, okay, name the chemical process by which you accomplish this. And that's where we're at in the conversation. And I feel like he is I don't know the word for this. Like he's pretending to not understand the question. I usually don't personally attack, but I find it really bizarre. Carvo, may I ask, are you religious? Do you believe in God?
I do not.
Okay,
I'm religious.
I know. I know you are, Ira. I'm an atheist, just for the record. So, Corvo, what is that process by which you create 20% oxygen in the atmosphere? How do you do that?
I mean, you've got like volcanoes, you've got
Give me
chemical
one
processes.
method. No. Give me one chemical method. Give me the process. Give me the chemical equation.
Ooh, chemical equation.
Yeah.
You're
I
not gonna
mean,
do that.
why not?
Okay, here you go. Photodissociation of water vapor by ultraviolet radiation from your sun.
You're gonna get 20%?
Absolutely.
Wait,
It depends.
give us the equation. Give
Show
us
me
the
the
equation. Let's do the
yeah.
math.
Give me the link. Just post the link in the chat. Let's see in the side chat. Let's examine this link. As soon as you're ready,
Give me a second.
Yeah, sure. I'm really curious. Let me
It's
see.
direct, man. Is this peer reviewed?
It doesn't matter. I just want.
It's made up entirely. I wrote it just now
It's okay. Let's
myself.
see it.
I typed it that
I
fast.
don't think this is peer reviewed, man.
How about that one?
Where is it? Oh, you gave us
I
a
only
link?
do it. And also,
Okay.
this was published in 1984. What the fuck?
It's fine. It's fine. Let's see.
Oxygen didn't exist back then.
Photodissociation of water vapor.
100%. I don't believe that.
Okay,
Everything we know about oxygen has changed.
let me post the link because when I post it, it shows, but no, it's refusing to show. So I don't know how to show the. Okay, I'll skim
Oxygen
through.
isn't even a chemical
Let's see the photo.
process.
Okay, I'm gonna read out loud so everyone on the chat or everyone on the YouTube channel and the recording can hear me. So it says as follows: on the photodissociation of water vapor in the mesosphere. The photodissociation of water vapor in the mesosphere depends on the absorption of solar radiation in the region of the O2 Schumann-Runge system and also at H limit alpha. The photodissociation product are OH plus H, comma, OH star. I don't know why there is a comma. What's OH star? Anyway, okay, I guess it's arrow instead of. I guess it's arrow. I don't know. Anyway, but they say at the end you get O plus 2H. It separates. It's whatever. Okay, and H2 plus O. So there's another O. Okay. The percentages for these four channels are 70, 8, 12, and 10% respectively, but OH plus H is the only channel between 175 and 200 nanometers. Such proto-proportions lead to a production of H atoms corresponding to a particularly the question is, can you get an atmosphere? I mean, this could cause trace amounts. I mean, of course, you could have all sorts of chemical reactions. So you think you can get 20% of the atmosphere to have oxygen like this?
There's literally no reason you can't.
Okay.
Like it can erupt from volcanoes. It can happen from all these several of these links that I've given you. Most of them are about. I'm sorry. The dissociation that releases oxygen that way. But the last two that I've just presented are a different method of abiotic. You can just Google abiotic molecular oxygen production.
The question is, can you show me someone that claims you can get 20% of the atmosphere? That's viable to get that? Like
There's no limit. Can you show me somebody that says that you can't? I mean,
okay,
what are you
okay,
talking
okay.
about? There's not. This is the process. It can create up to 20. It could do 100% of the whole planet can be oxygen.
Okay,
It could be a gas giant made of oxygen.
okay, okay. Let's say we get techno signatures, not biosignatures. Let's say we build a telescope and we find whatever techno signature we get. We get the whole 9 yards. We get biosignatures and techno signatures all coming from one planet.
Okay, you spotted one. It's really really far away, right? Like it's
Yes.
okay.
Now,
So you spotted it. What?
okay.
I
So
think that might happen one day. I don't think
okay.
that's impossible.
Okay. So it could be. So we know we have a star next door. It's 4 light years away. The galaxy is, I think, about
Well,
100,000
no, hold
light
up.
years.
If you're 4 light years away, that's really really close. Like really really close. So in this case, I think you might be able to communicate with them, but I don't think there happen to be any technological civilizations within 4 light years of us right now.
Yeah, I was
So
saying the galaxy
okay.
is 100,000 light years across, if I'm not mistaken, or 150,000. Is that the right number?
That's
Okay.
close. Yeah.
So let's say we see, right, there's plenty of samples within our galaxy. So let's say we find someone, right, we have about 1 trillion stars, so that's about 1 trillion planets. That's the order of magnitude. So out of those, we're bound to find, one, or let's say even within 1,000 years or 10,000 years, we find, or 100,000 years, we find biosignatures. Let's say we are, as you say, we're trapped on the planet. We have no energy to leave. This planet is just impossible to leave, which is your contention. That's your proposition. That's your solution to Fermi's paradox. We simply cannot leave. Of course, 100,000 years from now, everyone is still trapped on Earth. We haven't even built a colony on the moon. It's just too difficult, according to you. Fantastic.
Well, now when did I claim that? I never made that claim.
So wait, in 100,000 years, we're gonna have a colony on the moon, or
Yeah,
no?
probably.
Probably.
If
Like
we're still
what?
alive, I mean, we don't know. We don't know that the human race will not have gone extinct within 100,000 years. But assuming that we live that long, I think we would probably have a colony on the moon, and probably some stuff in the asteroid belts, and probably some stuff on the moons of Saturn and
So the Fermi's.
Jupiter.
So the solution to Fermi's paradox has to be exactly 100%. It cannot be less than 100%. So if you tell me there is a probability that we're going to start colonizing, then that's not a viable solution to Fermi's paradox. Do you understand
The
that?
amount of energy required to colonize something inside of our solar system is orders of magnitude less than the amount of energy it would require to go to another star system and colonize there.
What do you mean?
We could spend. Here's another way to look at it. We could spend all of this energy to colonize all these various places in our solar system, but the amount of energy that we would have to spend just to let another civilization 10,000 light years away from here know that we exist
Hold on.
would be greater than all of the energy that we spent
Hold on.
colonizing all of those places within our solar system.
Hold
So that's
on.
why that's why aliens probably haven't done it.
You can't say probably. You cannot use the word probably when you talk about solutions to Fermi's paradox, because one is enough to violate your solution. Just one.
How's that? So there's one alien technological race out there, and you think that they automatically would be here?
No, they would have conquered the galaxy.
Why? Why would they have done that?
So
That's an assumption. That's a huge assumption.
You have to tell me why not.
They might have died. They might be dead.
You can't say might with solutions to Fermi's paradox when you're dealing with huge.
The entire thing is about probabilities.
Right, exactly. With such huge
So
probabilities.
I can definitely use. Right.
And not just that, you
That's like
have
saying it's already based on probabilities. So if we're talking about rolling dice, it's like saying you can't say that you might not win if you roll the dice, or you might win if you roll the dice. You can. It's what it is. We're talking about probabilities.
no, hold on. So you're saying that no one has managed, not a single civilization in our galaxy has managed to colonize this galaxy, at least not so that we can see or get visitations. And also, you're saying that in all the galaxies that we're watching, not a single one of them made a dent that we can see something unnatural in the vastness, nor have they
That's the
visited.
current. You've described the current situation that we are in. Yes.
But you need to look, it's called Fermi's paradox because no one is satisfied with any solution, because every solution thus far proposed is not 100% proof. And as long as it's not 100%, then one of them got away. If one of them got away, that's the end of the solution. You don't have a solution. If in your you have a universe to deal with.
Well, the evidence that we're presented with is that no one has done that, right? Because otherwise, if what you're saying is true, they would be here, and they're not. So we have evidence that did not happen in the way that you think that it would.
No. I'm saying that's the paradox. Your solution doesn't solve the paradox. You're not giving. As soon as you tell me,
because it doesn't exist.
No. As soon as you tell me they probably, that is no longer a solution. You need 100%, not 99.9999999%. That's not enough. You have many nines to deal with in order to tell me it's a solution to Fermi's paradox. There is no solution that I've heard to Fermi's paradox except for mine. Mine works because mine is mathematical. But I never heard anyone solve Fermi's paradox. I mean, I've heard my solution.
I've just given you 2 links to people describing why Fermi's paradox is not logical and it's not a real thing. So you can judge those on your own, but that's kind of where I come from too.
I've heard everyone on YouTube that has to say something on Fermi's paradox. I've heard them.
Oh, these are papers. I'm sorry. Did you want something from YouTube?
I usually just watch YouTube because there's plenty of YouTube.
Oh, okay. I was using actual academic papers. My bad.
No, there's plenty of academics who have YouTube channels. So
one last paper about why Fermi's paradox is not really a thing. But let me go look for some YouTube for you.
Look, talking to me paternalistically is not. You're not earning points by misbehaving towards me. I'm not
misbehaving towards you. You're challenging what I'm saying, and I'm saying these are pretty simple assumptions. So here, let me speak to you in your language. I'm going to go find you YouTube videos now that support what I'm saying, since you don't think, because you were just making the statement that you'd never heard of this or never heard anyone say this, or that this is not a solution to the Fermi paradox because this, and this. So I was trying to offer you some other perspectives. And I wanted to keep it like with, papers and things with people who have PhDs were doing, but you mentioned that you prefer watching YouTube. So I'm going to help you do that. I'm not trying to be negative towards you. I'm trying to speak to you.
Okay. So let me.
So do you want to just leave it at the papers, or do you want some YouTube videos about why the Fermi paradox is flawed?
I'd like to reply to everything you just said because I feel that we're derailing the conversation. So before, I feel like you're about to run away. So let me first ask you for friendship, because I usually don't find people. Wait, why can't I offer you friendship? Why are you not friendable? Why is that? Oh, now I can? Okay. So I asked you to be a friend because I usually don't find people with whom I can have this level of discourse on this topic. You're literally the first one. I I search for such people. So I don't want you to run away, but I don't want to derail the conversation, and I don't want to turn the conversation into appeal to authority or appeal to titles and stuff like that, or
Well,
appeal.
then I didn't either. But see, where we went with that was you started asking me about how there were ways to have an oxygen atmosphere without biology involved, and
I
I tried to
accepted.
explain multiple times that
I
like there are
accepted.
many.
I accepted.
Okay,
I accepted. I accepted.
but
I didn't deny you. I said,
you
okay, let's
but you
assume.
you like specifically asked me for formulas and stuff. I wasn't trying to get super
Yes,
academic and go just the papers
it's
route, but
fine.
my
If
assumption whenever you asked me that, I
it,
thought I would start doing that because I thought that's the language you spoke.
no,
But if
no,
not, that's cool too.
I asked for the chemical formula, and to simplify it, I asked for the link. I didn't say that I don't appreciate the link or anything about that link. I immediately went and started reading the link. Once I realized that it makes some sense, a little bit of sense, I realized that, it's, yeah, I mean, okay. And then you said it could be 100%. It makes sense. I don't have a problem. Yeah, that's another channel that I don't like. I hate Anton Petrov, this disgusting person.
Why do you think
Um,
he's a disgusting person?
we can have
Hold on,
an
I've watched every video that Anton Petrov has put out. I don't understand why you wouldn't like him. He's pretty honest.
no. I think he's a disgusting person. I think he's
Is it
despicable.
because he's Russian or something?
No, no.
Why is he despicable? Give me one thing despicable this man's done. I'm not aware of it. I really am not. I'm curious.
I usually make fun of him on in the comment section. He's really, look, the last thing I want to do, we can have a discussion about the way, about any presentation that he makes, and I will explain to you why I feel it's terrible, and sometimes he is a terrible person. We can do that, but I don't want to lose
How
you.
about
I
Brian
don't.
Cox?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely disgusting. Yeah, I don't like these people. Very,
I can't. Okay, I guess I'm not gonna be able to find YouTube stuff because everybody that
I
I
did.
find is not gonna
No, no,
like.
no,
So.
no, 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 no. This, no. I appreciate their science in general. I appreciate their science. I appreciate everything they have to say. I listen to them. There's no one else I can listen to. I mean, one of the reasons I started producing these videos is because I was tired that no one was covering the material the way I cover the material. One of my first, as soon as I started having a channel, it was about Fermi's paradox, and that's when I started getting pushback. It's very difficult to talk to people about Fermi's paradox. I got into a war with people, because they said, of course, there's aliens here. A lot of people, you talk to them and they tell you, what do you mean? The pyramids were built by aliens. Of course, there's aliens. There's aliens living with us. What do you mean? That's like talking to normal people. So I almost lost my mind. But anyway, let's get back. I'll gladly discuss these people with you some other time. But I don't want to derail this conversation. So, of course, if Brian Cox was willing to talk to me, of course I would talk to him. If Anton Petrov would talk to me, of course I would talk to him. These people are very knowledgeable, so and they're fun to talk to, and you're fun to talk to, and you're informative, and you're informed. So so it's not that I disagree with them vehemently on science, but I also disagree with Feynman on the philosophy of science. Fine, I don't, I don't submit to authorities as Feynman taught us.
Yeah, I mean, I usually don't either. But if you ask me for formulas and stuff, I'm gonna have to go grab them.
Yes,
Because I'm
definitely,
not a PhD chemist, so I can't really tell
definitely,
you the exact process for separating them. But I do know it exists. I've seen other
definitely.
people talk about it, and I know that an ice giant, for instance, or like Neptune has heavier elements than Jupiter, and so on and so forth. So you have like a gas giant that's mostly hydrogen and helium, and then when you get to a colder, bit more distant space, then heavier elements can coalesce, and you end up having the potential possibility for actually an oxygen giant could
I completely
exist somewhere.
completely accepted it. I don't know if I stressed it enough. When you said it, I said, fine, then let's add a techno marker in order to just make sure that we have a
Right, and
potential.
I said, fine, we see that, and then we can move on. We go, there are aliens over there. We see them now. For me, paradox still not solved, right? Because you're saying that just seeing them wouldn't do it, right? They have to spread out across the whole universe because you're assuming grabby aliens, I think is the term used in this discussion usually.
It, if you see aliens, that should increase Fermi's paradox. That should increase the paradoxicity. Is there a word, paradoxicity? Paradoxicity. The amount of paradox should rise in your mind if you see aliens, because the universe should be, we should be up to our eyeballs with aliens. We should never have evolved, because aliens should have colonized this planet when it just cooled down. They should have dismantled it to build their megastructures, just like we're about to do theoretically. With
Doesn't
the
that like rely on a lot of assumptions? Like a whole lot of assumptions there, like that
But
if there is life and it does build civilization, then it will start consuming stars to make Dyson spheres, et cetera, et cetera. Isn't that a
no,
set of assumptions? Like someone just
no,
I just don't
no,
think it goes that way.
no. There's I can go through all the assumptions. The assumptions are what we call in economics very strong, meaning you have to agree with the assumptions. I mean, these are really, I mean, very strong assumptions. Very few and very strong assumptions that you have to be out of your mind to disagree with the assumptions. And we'll
Well,
go
I might
through.
be out of my mind.
Fine.
I've always disagreed with the assumptions.
Especially the ones you don't know about. So might as well disagree with them.
I always disagree before I agree, and then after I agree, I disagree again.
Well,
But here's an assumption that I make. Here's a quick assumption that I do make. If you speculate something that should have happened and that thing did not happen, the assumptions that you're making are probably wrong. That's my that's I think the limit of my speculation that they will entertain as true. I'll happily engage in speculation, but we're just talking bullshit, and that's fine. But if you speculate a thing that should have happened and it didn't, then one of your assumptions is probably wrong.
sure. And
Yeah,
the
that's cool and all.
reverse.
Ira, are you here to actually discuss stuff with us, or are you just are you
Well,
interested in
all
engaging?
you're
Or
saying is you're just describing simple scientific principles that people typically abide by. I don't.
Yeah.
Cool.
Me and Ira had a good discussion yesterday. Ira is a good guy. He wouldn't just come to spam the debate.
Okay.
I'm
Well, oh, I thought maybe
another
I got
good
confused,
guy.
but somebody's been popping in and out and just like saying like one or two sentences and then leaving. Do you?
I think Ira,
Is that
this is
you?
the second time or third time Ira is in this discussion.
Yeah.
But he comes in.
Which I'm welcome to everybody. I just if they're I don't really feel like dealing with like trolls and
There's
sidelining
no,
type shit.
there's basically no spammers
Well,
in this discussion until now. There's
it's
no
funny.
spammers. Ira, this
Yeah, I
conversation.
mean,
Ira, let me just update you. This
cool.
conversation is getting a little bit emotional, so I don't want to get anyone upset. So let's keep it.
I'm in tears.
Yeah, me too. So Ira, let's keep it just a little bit extra professional. So if you don't have comments, constructive comments, let's try and you can interject logically and ask questions.
Facts.
All right. So let's continue.
Facts.
All right. Let's continue our discussion. So where were we? You brought up Anton Petrov. Yeah, I told you I don't want to turn this discussion into appeal to authority or stuff like that. we don't need. I don't think we need any information. So let's assume. Let's go with the you know. You know what, Carvo? Why don't you ask me questions? Because I've been asking you, unless you want me to keep cross-examining you. What's your preference?
I can ask you some questions if you'd like, but I'm not completely sure what you believe. So if you could
Yeah, ask me.
because you seem to have this idea that you can't have a probabilistic answer to the Fermi paradox, and I think that that's outright wrong. I
So
think
let
that Fermi
me.
paradox is talking about probabilities, and the answers to the Fermi paradox are why are we landing on the downside of those probabilities.
So let me first correct you and everyone who has been mispronouncing. I don't think you can say the Fermi paradox. I think you should say Fermi's paradox. I don't know why people say the Fermi paradox. If I'm not mistaken, it's Fermi's. It's his paradox. Let's say it's his paradox, even though people say it's not. But let's say it is. It should be pronounced Fermi's or articulated as Fermi's paradox. Why do people keep
Yeah,
saying the Fermi? It does. I don't. Do you understand what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah. They're bad at English.
Corvo, do you understand? Do you
Okay.
feel that isn't it bad English to say the? I never say the. Maybe in the old days I used to say, but very quickly I stopped saying it. Wait, that's incorrect.
I ain't giving no fuck about no English, bro. I'm gonna talk. I'm gonna talk. So if it's gonna be a problem for you, then we can go ahead
No,
and bounce on this
no.
conversation right now. Anyway, I don't really care.
Wait, are you upset?
Not at all, dude. I think it's just like I don't care
So
about if you call it that paradox we were talking about that one time. It would
no,
work
but it's
fine for me,
in
bro.
the
Whatever you want to call it.
grammar. Don't you agree that the grammar is
I
incorrect?
mean, yeah. You're an
I can still.
independent man. You can
I
do
just don't
whatever
care.
you want, but
Yeah, I don't
in
give a
the
fuck.
Ira,
grammar,
Ira,
yeah,
I want to give Corvo all the respect, and let's kind. I would just want to hear him. If you want to interject, you can, but let's keep it as I want him to ask me
yeah.
questions. Thank you, Ira. So
I don't care if you
Corvo,
call it the Fermi paradox or Fermi's paradox. It's not it's beneath my concern.
okay, all right, let's ignore that. I'll just tell you that when I hear people misspeak, I have to start questioning why they're misspeaking. Because usually people don't misspeak. Like when they call something fossil fueled, when they know these are not fossils, when they say CO2 is poison, when they know it's not poison, I just, I stop and think, wait, why are they, what's going on? Okay, but fine. I categorize anyone who says the Fermi paradox, I categorize them as question mark. Why is he speaking bad English when normally his English is perfect? So anyway,
Well, I mean, also if you looked at the links that I'd posted above, like one or two of them were actually discussing why it shouldn't even be called a Fermi's paradox.
yes,
So
yes, I saw that.
because it's not his.
Yes,
So
I saw. Yeah, I
um,
saw that. All right. So your question is, repeat your question again. Sorry.
I didn't really have one so much because, like I said, I don't know exactly what you believe or what your position that you're arguing here is. I'm just saying that several potential solutions and understandings of the Fermi paradox or Fermi's paradox exist and have been presented in papers and in YouTube, as well as like the logical conclusions you can draw yourself. And I think that supporting it relies on certain assumptions like grabby aliens, or there's like a thing that happens where you start thinking about speed of light being something that we can overcome and not necessarily that, but approach even as the 30% limit that I mentioned earlier to the speed of light is an issue. So I just don't know where you stand on that and which particular assumptions that you stick to. But I did hear something about grabby aliens and some other things in there because you think that they'll build mega structures if they do that. And I'm just saying like don't you think, here's a question for you, don't you think that it might be that the production of megastructures outstrips the capability of any society that has yet been has yet grown in the universe?
Well, obviously, look. So Fermi's paradox has bothered me more than anything else, more than quantum mechanics, more than anything else in the known universe. I was bothered with Fermi's paradox for years and years and years, and didn't pay attention basically to anything else outside my work and my life. So all I was trying to solve always was Fermi's paradox. And I don't remember exactly how I came to my solution, but when I started developing my solution, I heard, I think I heard it from one person. His name is TFM, Turd Flinging Monkey. Since then, he became a neo-Nazi. So take it, do with it as you will. At the time, he was anti-neo-Nazi. Anyway, this was years ago. So it has to do basically with global warming. When you see people, and how this conversation began with veganism, that the nature of humans, I mean, and that's my solution. We'll come back to my solution later. But once I discovered my solution, finally I began to rest. My mind was put at ease, and I felt that I have a solution. But since then, every time people mention solutions to Fermi's paradox, I realize that no one has a solution to Fermi's paradox except for me. So, so that's it. So I've heard just a couple of days ago, what's the guy's name? The Australian from Colombia. Brave Worlds, something. You know this guy?
Maybe. I can't think of who it is right now off of your description.
Yeah, he's at Columbia. He's an astronomer. He just got tenure. Anyway, so he came up with his solution. It's not really a solution, but he came up with a revelation, which is very interesting. But anyway, so what you're saying is, this is nothing new, and Isaac Arthur has, dealt with such ideas, and the problem usually is, or always is, the way Isaac Arthur taught us is the solution to Fermi's paradox must be exactly 100% proof. A single, right? If it's probability of less than 100% or less than 1, that in the vastness of the visible universe, it's likely to break that probability, and you'll get not one but multiple alien civilizations that will conquer the visible universe and will be everywhere. That's the problem. That is what makes it a paradox.
How do you back that up?
So, okay, so let's start with the first assumption. Right? So you want an assumption, right? Are you looking for an assumption, or are you looking for solutions to the predicament that you created? Because you created a predicament for all civilizations. I don't feel it's a predicament. It's a probabilistic. You're saying, oh, some of them are never going to make it because, who knows what. They're just too dumb or whatever. They're going to destroy themselves before and stuff like that. Yeah, okay. But, some of them are not going to self-destruct. And some of them are going to be, like the Neanderthals with a 1/3 larger brain than us. And some of them are going to be very smart. They're like, we cannot even fathom the size of brains that could be running around. And for these guys, it's going to be, it's going to be on the breakfast cereal how to solve the problems that you're bringing up. So what is your question? How do you want me to convince you that I'm not convinced? The reason I'm not convinced by your solution is because it's not It doesn't give us a probability of 0 for alien civilizations conquering the entire visible universe. That's the problem.
Well, that's because, okay, so the reason for that is that I'm not making an unfalsifiable statement that there are no alien civilizations out there doing exactly what you're saying. I
So
couldn't,
what?
there'd be no way I could falsify that statement myself. And the problem that I have with what you've said is that you do sort of make an unfalsifiable statement in there, which is that if you're saying that if there was a advanced a technologically advanced alien race and they spread out into the stars, that they would thus then consume more and more stars and space and conquer space to some unlimited degree. And I'm saying that's an unfalsifiable assertion because you don't know what they would do should they reach that level of technology. You don't know whether that that level of technology is physically realistic in the universe.
Okay, hold
You're
on.
resting that on a bunch of
Hold
assumptions,
on.
and that's the issue that
Hold
I'm in.
on. Okay. So yeah. So let's write it down. So you don't know how they would behave, right?
Right.
So your objection, or I'll say you or we don't know how they will behave, what their motivations are like, right? You brought this up right now as an issue, right?
Yeah, and it might be their motivations, it might be their nature, it might be a lot of different little things that have to do with them. I don't think that grabby
Yes.
aliens are necessarily a foregone conclusion.
Okay, grabby aliens are. I wasn't paying attention so much with the grabby aliens.
I said I don't think that grabby aliens. Do you understand the concept of grabby aliens?
Just I heard it multiple times. I wasn't paying attention because it didn't feel like my solution, so I could care less. So what is grabby aliens? Please tell me. In like
It's this idea that these alien civilizations would immediately start moving from star system to star system, colonizing it and making Dyson spheres and so on and so forth. There's this, it's an encompassing, like that's an assumption, and it's not a falsifiable assumption that those things exist that way.
what is
So that's all.
what is the grabby alien? Grabby aliens was written by an economist. This is the only reason I think we should actually pay attention. I was hoping he would get it right because my solution is from economic theory. So what did he say? What exactly is his theory? He comes up with a theory that people. The guy from Universe Today said impressed him. The bald guy, don't know the names. So, what is the theory of grabby aliens? But it's not important. Okay, can you tell me
I
the
mean, I can
theory?
break it down pretty easily. The theory is just that they're an alien civilization that will expand in space, and it would be detectable, is the idea of the grabby alien,
But that's not
because they would be doing
what.
loud things in space,
Okay,
like
let me
making
ask
Dyson
you.
spheres and so on
Let
and
me
so
ask
forth.
you. Let me ask you. So, grabby aliens is a theory, right? It's a scientific theory, isn't it?
No, I don't know about that. I think it's, I don't know if
So, what
it's,
is the what is the
I'm
paper?
sure people have made scientific models,
So,
but
what
I
is
thought you didn't want to do papers.
No, what is the paper? I mean, papers usually are new theories. I mean, you're writing a paper, you must have a theory, and you must have a revelation how to prove the theory correct or something. I mean, theory just means a new idea about how to explain phenomenon in the universe. Why else would you write a paper? What I've never seen a paper that does not explain a phenomenon, meaning a theory. It's not critical. You brought it up. I
I
mean,
posted a link here.
before critique, what is but what is grabby aliens? What is it? Does he say? Does he talk about it? Let me see. Visit site.
Yes.
A critique. Okay, grabby aliens hypothesis first proposed in this paper and explained well by this video is a proposed solution to the apparent paradox that human civilization emerged unusually early on in the universe. Most of the stars that will ever form haven't formed yet, so we would expect most civilizations to come after us. This makes us unusual. This is ridiculous logic, which contradicts The Copernican principle. No, it doesn't. The hypothesis states that aliens and possibly our future selves will expand and take. Wait, the hypothesis. So it's a hypothesis. Okay. States that aliens. What? Okay. It comes to solve Fermi's paradox. Okay. And possibly our future selves will expand and take all the stars very soon, preventing new life from forming. That is Fermi's paradox. Why are we here? I would say is my the way I. That's my paradox. Why are we here? This planet should have been dismantled before we were amoebas. So this means life cannot form much later than us, so we are not early. What do you mean? So we are early? I don't understand. I have two issues. What is the with this hypothesis? I don't understand the hypothesis. We aren't that early. What? And I don't understand. I have no idea. And I heard this talked about multiple times. If you understand grabby aliens, explain it. If you don't understand it, let's ignore it for now. I don't care. So what do you want to do?
Well, you just said that that the Earth should have been dismantled before we were.
That is the paradox. That is my paradox.
So that means that that you believe that grabby aliens are the conclusion of that's what that means, because that's what these things are. If they came here and dismantled our planet and turned it into a Dyson sphere so they could be a Kardashev level 5 whatever or 4 species, then
but that does not explain Fermi's paradox. It just
okay. So before you, here's the thing. You cut me off when I'm trying to explain the thing that you've asked me about, and then you go back to a more primordial thing, which is like the Fermi's paradox, or I'm sorry, Fermi's paradox thing. Before I've even gotten my explanation out. So like, if you want to understand what grabby aliens are, I've given you something to read, and I've explained it to you that what you're talking about, where the aliens come here and dismantle your planet. Before we're even born, and turn it into some sort of a megastructure that they use to then continue expanding. Right? If that's what you believe should have happened, then you're relying on the idea that grabby aliens are what aliens would be. You think that there's not another way for aliens to be once they've reached that technological level that you're also assuming can happen.
Yes.
And because of that, I think that your baseline assumption about the Fermi paradox is flawed, because there's a great probability, and yes, probability that that's not how aliens are when they reach that level of technology.
Okay. One second. So I don't see how grabby aliens are a solution to Fermi's paradox. If anything, they are.
No, they're not. They're not.
So what is?
I wasn't presenting them as a solution.
So what is?
I was presenting them as part of your understanding of why you think there isn't a solution to it, is because you rely upon the existence of grabby aliens to fuel your continued belief that the Fermi paradox is a thing, or Fermi's paradox is a thing.
What is the purpose of this hypothesis? Hypothesis comes to explain a phenomenon. The phenomenon is Fermi's paradox. So how does this hypothesis explain the phenomenon? It doesn't. It doesn't explain the paradox. It creates the paradox. It's not a scientific hypothesis.
That's what I'm telling you. That's what I'm actually telling you.
But
you got it.
But in the question posed on r/Isaac Arthur, pragmatist antithesis claimed that it's a hypothesis. It says the hypothesis states that aliens and so forth, but it's not a hypothesis. This is incorrect. Did anyone correct him that it's not a hypothesis? I don't know.
But you've just said that it is a hypothesis, and then that it's not a hypothesis. In like
he
two
says,
sentences. You started out by saying that it's a hypothesis that explains why the Fermi's paradox is a thing, and then now you're saying that it's not a hypothesis. So I don't understand how to follow.
Okay. The definition of a hypothesis is that it is an explanation to a phenomenon. It's like a theory. It's a preliminary theory. It's the attempt to explain a phenomenon that we have noticed, that we have witnessed. So we witnessed a phenomenon. We call this phenomenon Fermi's paradox. And this is really strange. It's a strange phenomenon, and we're trying to explain it. So, grabby aliens is supposed to be, according to this r/Isaac Arthur by pragmatist antithesis, he claims it's a hypothesis. But I
you're
claim
saying it's not.
correct.
Okay.
So I'm asking, did anyone correct him that it's not a hypothesis? But if it's not a hypothesis, then what is being proposed in a paper? This is an academic paper. So what is being proposed if not a hypothesis? Let's see. So here is the paper. Let me link it in the chat. So it's on, how do you pronounce this? I just say archive. Do people pronounce this differently? Just archive?
I don't know.
Okay.
Archive's fine. I know what you mean.
It's, yeah. So if loud aliens explain human earliness, what? Quiet aliens are also rare? I don't even know what he means. I don't care. We're wasting time. We're not getting anywhere. I'm not here to understand anyone who is this is not the time. We can have a different time. We can sit and dissect this paper and see if it's of any value. Do you feel if it's of any value to you? This paper?
No, because I'm ultimately a realist, and I understand that the search for extraterrestrial life and the ideas of this futurism stuff as typically presented by someone like Isaac Arthur are great. I love thought experiments and that sort of thing, but ultimately they are fantastic, and they often rely on unfalsifiable premises or claims. So I don't need to read this stuff. I do read it because I find it interesting. But it's not that important to read if you just understand that you shouldn't accept unfalsifiable premises, as I do.
1 second, let me just answer someone in the YouTube chat there. They want to join us, so they don't know what this server is. This is the politics and religion server. Let me just answer 1 second. This is the politics and religion server. Okay.
Where's this YouTube?
Oh, I posted the link. Let me repost the link 1 second. So you can also have this link, so you can gladly share it or do whatever you want with it. Here's the link. This is our conversation. It's going to stay up there forever, and that's why I'm doing these videos. So let's continue.
Oh, I didn't know I was being recorded.
Oh, do you mind?
Yeah, I don't like to be recorded, so I'm going to go ahead and back out of here.
Wow.
But it was a good discussion. Thanks for having it with me.
Okay, I sent you a friend request. Are we friends now?
Yeah, I don't mind being friends or whatever.
Can I just
friendly? I don't want to be recorded. So
that's fine. I understand. Okay. Thank you.
all right. Well, have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye. All right. Yeah. Okay. It was a great discussion, not a good discussion, but I've been here for an hour and 43. I have to run to the bathroom. I need to get back to work. He was I got everything I wanted from him. He does not have a solution. And in order to feel like he has resolved the paradox, he just claims that it's not a paradox. That's fantastic. Because we have assumptions. Yeah, but these assumptions, I told him, are very strong. And you have to be out of your mind to disagree. And he said, yeah, well, maybe I'm out of my mind. He wasn't even curious to hear what the assumptions were. So the assumptions are, as far as I'm concerned, there's just two assumptions to create Fermi's paradox. So the first assumption, which is very strong, is that life on Earth arose basically as soon as Earth cooled down. So you could say that panspermia is a very viable solution, but it's not critical. The fact is, it's as if life was waiting for Earth to cool down to pop into existence. So that suggests that wherever the conditions are ripe, life will pop into existence. That seems to be the nature of the beast. That is sewn into the fabric of our reality. So that's the first assumption. So the assumption is that life is abundant all over the universe. And it's a very strong assumption. How else do you explain life on Earth arising as soon as Earth, basically as soon as Earth cooled down, the crust cooled down just enough? It's not like it took 1 billion, 2 billion years. No, it took much less than that. I think a few millions, maybe not even that. And that's just when we see the first signs of actual cellular life. Cellular life is very advanced compared to just the beginning of life, which theoretically would be a simple self-replicating molecule. So a self-replicating molecule would have needed, I would say, so much time in order to compose itself into the first cell. I mean, an amoeba, one of those first cells, is it's a city. It's so complex. It has DNA and RNA and messenger and organelles. It's a thinking, breathing city. So to say that, I mean, so anyway, it doesn't matter. It's really not important. The fact is that it seems like life on Earth evolved as soon as life on Earth could have evolved, which suggests very strongly that life would pop into existence just about anywhere that life can pop into existence, which suggests that life is abundant all over the universe. That's the first assumption. It's a very strong assumption. There's no reason to assume otherwise. The next assumption is that because of Malthusian demographic pressures in any system, in any biological system, you would get you would get Darwinism. Darwinism, I believe, is built on Malthusian pressure, which is overpopulation relative to the resources. So every animal overproduces. So if you have a self-replicating molecule, it's going to self-replicate, and then it's just going to self-replicate. It's going to fill the oceans completely until the oceans are full of self-replicating molecules, and then they're not going to be able to self-replicate anymore because that's it. They're out of resources. Whatever resources were needed for self-replication, that's it. They're out of resources, and then you start having Darwinism because now there is pressure to improve. So because of random mutations in the replication, you're going to have variation. And in the variation, or through the variation, you're going to have advantages and disadvantages. So the offsprings with the advantages will again take over the environment and so on until you get intelligent humans running around or intelligent whatever on alien planets. So you're going to get, so maybe that's an assumption. So, given life, the assumption is life will evolve because of because of Darwinism. So that's also a very strong assumption. A very strong assumption, meaning it's very logical. I'm not saying that if I flip a coin a million times, I'm going to always get heads, which is a very unlikely. It's a very weak assumption. But the assumption that if you start getting life, you're gonna have Darwinism. I mean, that's basically the assumption. The assumption is you're gonna have life everywhere. But anyway, okay, so we have Darwinism. Because of Darwinism, so every animal that pops into being through all these variations, they're going to be egoistic, right? The self-replicating molecule is already, the first one is already egoistic. It doesn't care about the environment. It converts the environment into itself without thinking twice. It doesn't care about the environment. It doesn't have feelings, it doesn't have remorse. It's completely careless. Now, during this process, they could become cannibalistic and tear apart and eat each other. Yeah, that's called being egoistic. So life is egoistic and has to be egoistic, because if a variation is not egoistic, so it's not egoistic, it's less likely to survive, and over very long periods of time, it will not survive. Mathematically, you get mathematical certainty, a certain level of certainty, that if it's not egoistic, it's not going to survive. And this egoism we call rationality. So this life is going to be rational. We've gone through the definition of rationality in other videos, but in general, a rational actor prefers goods over bads, where goods are what's good for it subjectively, bad is whatever is bad for it subjectively. So it prefers goods over bads. It prefers more of a good over less of a good, and less of a bad over more of a bad. And because of that, it optimizes. Because the ones that will optimize will have better chances of survival. So you get rational. Anyway, you basically get the life that we see today, that all creatures are rational, rationally egoistic. So that's what you get. And because all of life is rationally egoistic, they would want naturally to, right? They would run out of space on Earth. They would turn their planet into Coruscant, into a huge mega city, even bigger than Coruscant. It's going to be completely a mega city, and it's going to become impossible to live there, impossible to buy an apartment. So they're going to be motivated to colonize their moons and build space stations in space and go conquer other worlds. And what do you call it? Make other worlds habitable. I think less of that. That takes a lot of time, but they'll do that too. They'll and uh, and they'll just go on and colonize, because of rationality. They'll just like because of rationality, every creature tries to conquer the planet and colonize the planet, including humans. So every alien civilization will naturally want to conquer the universe, because of rationality, because every creature, every alien creature wants to survive and wants to have a good life and needs living space, and space runs out just like every other resource very quickly, so they just expand and expand like an expanding sphere. So we'd expect to see expanding spheres of techno signatures and megastructures across galaxies and across the universe. But okay, that is what we expect. That is what we should expect, just based on these very strong assumptions. Now, the fact of the matter is, we don't see these signatures. And also, what we'd expect these aliens to also arrive at Earth. And we should have expected them to arrive at Earth already yesterday, and not just yesterday, 1,000 years ago, and 1,000,000, and 1,000,000,000, and 5 and 4 billion years ago, or even 10 billion years ago. They should have been here before the sun formed. They should have been here, and they should have converted this proto solar system, or the previous, right? Our sun is a third generation sun. They should have already converted the first generation sun into their megastructures as they were going through the universe and colonizing it. And we should never have been here in the first place. Nothing should have been here. So the fact that we are here and they are not, and there's no signs of anything of them, except for exceptions like what seems to be Oumuamua, which seems to be a piece of garbage that somehow they overlooked. So we should expect to see garbage floating, and sometimes dead aliens, or maybe even we should expect living aliens. But in general, the point is, we don't see anything. We don't see anything. And the only thing that we've seen thus far is just Oumuamua and a bunch of other questionable pieces of evidence. So altogether, there is no evidence. So we don't know. So that is the paradox. The paradox is this contradiction between the universe should be teeming with alien civilizations, and the fact of the matter is that it's not only that, it's completely devoid of any signs of any civilizations. That's the contradiction. And that is Fermi's paradox. And today we just discussed it. And this guy that I was talking to, Carvo, so he said, no, there's no paradox. But here I just reproduced the paradox. So he claims that there's no paradox because he has a solution. So already it's a contradiction, but fine. So he claims he has a solution. The solution is there's not enough energy to leave the planet, and it makes no sense to leave the planet. A bunch of ideas that other people have discussed before, but that these are not viable solutions to Fermi's paradox. Fermi's paradox needs a 100% answer. An answer why no alien civilizations are out there. Not a single one. Not a single one conquered the universe. Out of what should be trillions and trillions and trillions over the 15 or so billions of years, there should have been trillions, but one should have already conquered the universe. So, but there should be trillions of planets with life that should have attempted. So whatever solution to Fermi's paradox that we come up with cannot just be, well, it's too difficult to leave the planet. That's not a solution, because if it's okay for us, maybe it's difficult, but there's going to be aliens on planets with very low gravity, and they're going to have big asteroids around them, so they can just go into orbit and use the material on these. One second, I have who is that? That's Carvo. Carvo, sorry to have to bounce. We can have more discussion or continue the previous one anytime you don't want to stream or record it. Oh, so we will never talk. So we may never talk again. Because if I don't stream, I don't talk. Yeah, that's the way it is, and that's not going to change. Anyway, I don't want to continue talking too much because I've explained this many, many times, and other people have explained it many, many times. I was just, but keep in touch just in case. Anyway, okay, I think that's enough. All right, everyone. Thank you very much for joining me. Please hit the subscribe. That's the most important. We have been picking up subscribers, like basically I would say 1 or 2 per day. So right now we are at let me show you where it says here 157. Let me check if this changed. Yeah, we're at 157 and 235 videos. So a day will come and we'll have maybe more subscribers than videos. But I make like at this rate, I would say at least one video a day. So I don't know how long it's going to take. But I'm wondering whoever is watching this, okay, you control when you stream. So if you want to chat sometime and not stream, I'm here for it. Otherwise, that's cool too. Okay, let's give him a check mark. All right. So please subscribe and please the next thing is what I would say join me, but you can comment. I at this point I'm still replying to every comment. There's very few comments. And so comment. If you can share, that is very appreciative. If you share it with friends, then they can come and join us and also, if you know of other creators that might want to collab, I'm definitely up to that. So, as you know, I do debates and conversations about very deep stuff. I don't care for anything that is not deep. So if it's politics or psychology or psychoanalyzing politicians or economics or megastructures or technology or logic or philosophy of logic, I love philosophy. I love debating philosophy and the philosophy of philosophy, which I think no one has ever talked about, the philosophy of philosophy. So, and stuff like that, philosophy of math, philosophy of science. These are my exactly what I like discussing. All right, and and I think that's it. All right, everyone. Thank you very much. See you next time. Bye bye.